Is everybody ready to hear the story about Newman the Peace Dog? One warm day in March, when spring began to bloom all across Montana, a mother dog gave birth to 5 little chocolate drop puppies, each one cuter than the next. Mother dog loved all of them, each one different, each one loved. She taught them that every creature was worthy of love. Before long, all the little chocolate drops went to live with families of their own, as puppies do. But they all took the lessons of love from Mother Dog with them. One special puppy, not the biggest or the smallest, but the one with the most velvet soft ears and the deepest caramel-colored eyes, went to live with a family who had 2 small children. They were delighted with the soft, fluffy ball of chocolate and held him and loved him. He had found his place, the place where he would be loved just like Mother Dog. But soon the children grew tired of holding the puppy, and as he grew, he wasn't quite as cute. So they left him home alone in a small pen and forgot about him. When he barked and jumped and begged to be played with, they kicked him back and locked him away. Sometimes they forgot to feed him, and he grew very hungry. Now this little puppy knew this wasn't right. He remembered the lesson of Mother Dog, and he knew that even if his family treated him badly, he was worthy of love. Another dog would have treated the family the way they treated him. Another dog might bite and snarl, but not this dog. He learned Mother Dog's lesson well and knew that even the people that treated him badly were worthy of love. So as hard as it was, he tried to love them back. He stayed in his place and contemplated right and wrong, and in his heart grew hope. One day he was put in the back of a car and started to drive away. He wasn't sure what was happening. Could it be that his family was finally going to take him somewhere and show him off and play with him and love him? When the car finally stopped, he was brought inside a place called the Humane Society. This sounded good to him, he thought, remembering his ideas of right and wrong. Humane sounds right, and his hope grew even more. But the days passed, and he never even saw his family again. He had to face the fact that he had been abandoned, and now found himself in another small pen without even a bad family. The place was filled with lots of other dogs and cats, all sizes and shapes and colors, all worthy of love in their own way, and all abandoned and waiting for new families to adopt them. The little puppy had never been taught proper puppy manners, so he didn't know how to behave at all. But still, he knew he was worthy of love. Other dogs would sit and lay and do tricks to show off for families who came to look and choose a pet. But as each family came by, this little puppy, who knew no better, jumped and licked and nibbled as if to say, "Please, please, please pick me." But all the families picked other dogs. As the days and weeks and months passed, many dogs were carried away to new homes. Soon, this little chocolate puppy had been at the Humane Society the longest of any dog, and the staff felt very sorry for him. They were kind to him and started to teach him some proper puppy manners so families might like him more. He liked the staff very much, but it wasn't the same as a real family to love, so he kept hoping. Other dogs may have given up, but this dog couldn't do that. He knew he was worthy of love, and he knew just the kind of family he wanted, one that would treat him right and teach him and love him, and he had hope that they would come someday. On a warm spring day, just after this puppy had turned into a 2-year-old dog, a family did come to the Humane Society. They looked at all the dogs, and when they came to this big, sad chocolate one with the deep, hopeful eyes and the velvet soft ears, they stopped and said, "You are just what we're looking for. We want this one." What? He couldn't believe his ears. "They want me, me, me. Oh, I knew it would be." And he jumped higher than ever and licked and barked and gave them nibbles of love. He went to live with this new family in Missoula, a man and a woman. They named him Newman after a friend of theirs, a man that had taught them to know the peace and beauty of Montana wilderness. But he liked his new name because it was just that, new. He had a new bed and a new shiny food bowl, a new house to explore, a new yard with wonderful new smells and new things he'd never seen in any pen he'd lived in. But most important of all, he had 2 new people to love him, and he could hardly contain his nibbles and nips. "But whoa," said the family, "this jumping and nibbling has to stop." So the kind people at the Humane Society helped his new family teach him right and wrong. They knew, too, that he was worthy of love. He learned to sit and stay and wait to be called instead of jumping and barking. And he learned that nibbling was not the way to express his love. And then a magical thing happened. As he learned how to behave, his family loved him more and more. So there was less and less need for him to beg for love and attention. The more love he gave, the more he got. Every weekend, the man took Newman on long hikes to explore the beauty of Montana and learn to find peace in the wilderness, just like his friend Newman had taught him years earlier. Newman loved the outdoors and treasured his time with the man. In between the weekends, the lady would take Newman to work with her at a place called the Jeanette Rankin Peace Center. It was there that the magic all came together. Newman learned about Jeanette Rankin, the lady the center was named after. She knew how to hope as much as Newman did. She worked hard so women could vote, and she was elected to Congress. She also worked long and hard for peace and voted against 2 great wars. This made sense to Newman, the dog who had earlier refused to hate the family who had mistreated him. Like Jeanette, he had kept up hope, even when no one wanted him and it certainly seemed hopeless. Every day at the Peace Center, Newman had a job. He was the official greeter, and everybody soon called him the Peace Dog because he did such a good job as greeter. Each person that came in was different, and each one was worthy of love, and Newman was there to give it. He remembered how hard it had been to feel abandoned and unwanted, and he didn't want any other creature to feel that way ever. So he went to the door and greeted dozens of visitors each day. He shared his toys and treats with other dogs that came to visit, even the ones who hadn't yet learned how not to bark and jump, even the ones who snarled and snapped, because they too were worthy of love. Soon he began to meet people on his weekend hikes that remembered him from the Peace Center. They remembered the love he gave them, and they gave it back in welcome pets and hugs. But his very favorite of all was the children who had come to the center. They would hug him and talk quietly to him as they stroked his velvet soft ears and looked deeply into his caramel-colored eyes. He liked to lie down at their feet and make sure they all felt comfortable. They were his favorite of all because in their eyes he saw the little chocolate drop he used to be, full of hope and longing. Sometimes they shared cookies with him, and sometimes he shared his toys with them. Sharing was an important thing to know and teach if you were a peace dog. But being a peace dog didn't necessarily mean that Newman was perfect. Sometimes he remembered the days when he didn't have enough to eat and thought that food put into trash cans would be good to eat, just in case dinners got scarce again. And if you weren't careful, he might even steal a lunch left unattended. And sometimes he got so excited playing with folks that he forgot not to jump and lick. But that's okay. Everyone makes mistakes. Imperfect is still worthy of love. Newman had learned many things in his life about being worthy of love, about right and wrong, about never giving up hope, and now about beauty and peace and sharing, and the idea that the more you give, the more you get back. But the real lesson behind them all is about serving others, giving them all the things you have learned to give, forgiving all the bad things, and overlooking the mistakes. That's what makes the world a better place. And so everybody, no matter what size or shape or color that came to the Peace Center, would learn a little lesson of peace and love and hope. When Newman greeted them and looked at them with his deep caramel eyes, they would all know they were worthy of love. And then when they gazed into those deep, hopeful eyes and petted his velvet soft ears, they would sigh and feel a little more peaceful. And in his eyes, they all saw what they were looking for, hope that the world could be better. And when they left, they took with them love and peace and hope to give to everyone they met. The end.
The scrapbook that you created.
What? What? Go on.